And if the good Lord's willing, you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Very good. Thank you. We'll put an This will be played back later on tonight, so I'm going to put an imaginary break in it, and then we'll just continue on with the interview from there. Okay.
All right.
Hang on. And welcome back. Nighttime Live continues. Bob Harris here with you, and we're going to talk a little bit about a new book that has just come out, and I am so tickled to talk to this guy. His name is Fred Willard. You might remember him from so many different motion pictures, Waiting for Guffman, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, Mighty Wind. My favorite, by the way, has to be the dog show, Best of Show. And, of course, Fernwood tonight. His credits go on and on and on. And Mr. Fred Willard is with us right now. And, Fred, this is indeed an honor for you to be here, for us to have you on the show here today.
Well, thank you very much.
I have to say, we do have kind of one little thing in common here. I understand that one of your, I don't know if it's your best friend, but a good friend of yours, is from Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh, who's that?
A youngster by the name of Tim Sharp.
Oh, yes.
And you did, if I'm not mistaken, you did a TV show with him called Undeclared.
Yes, of course, yes.
And anyway, that was a great show, and I was very surprised it only lasted one season.
Uh-huh.
But a friend of mine gave me the show on DVD, and there was a segment in there where I think you play a college professor, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, as a college or high school, I forget what I was, yeah. And I tried to make my lectures a little more exciting. Yeah, I remember that.
But you're so well known for your ad-libbing. Did that something that came naturally to you right out the beginning of your acting career?
Well, not really. I started out as part of a comedy team, and one day I was after our team dissolved, I was asked to come in and audition for the Second City Comedy Group in Chicago. They had auditions in New York, and I thought, oh, geez, I can't do this. But I suddenly found that I could, or I was lucky enough at the audition, and they offered me a job at Second City, so I went there and I stayed there for a year. And then I didn't really do any improv for years after that. I did for a while. I got into a comedy group called the Ace Trucking Company.
Oh, sure.
That part of our show would be improvisation. And then the next thing when I really got back into improv was the Christopher Guest movies.
Oh, and now was Spinal Tap your first one with them?
Yeah. That was Rob Reiner, actually. Christopher Guest was in that. And then Christopher took over and did Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, Mighty Wind, and For Your Consideration. And there was quite a bit of improv in Ron Burgundy, Anchorman, too, with Will Ferrell. He likes to do a lot of off the top of your head. In movies like that, what they do is do it with the way it's scripted a couple of times, and then then do it once your own version.
Oh, I got you.
Whereas Christopher Guest, right away, from the very front, you know what you're supposed to do, but there's nothing written. You just start improvising.
See, because
Which can be fun and a little scary too.
Because I notice so much difference between your type of ad-libbing or the movies that you've been in with ad-libbing and, let's say, Woody Allen. I know he loves to do a lot of ad-libbing in his motion pictures as well.
Uh-huh.
And I find you guys are much more entertaining, and I seem to get very bored. It seems very stale the way Woody Allen does it.
I don't know. You can tell he's doing some improvising, but I've always wanted to be in a Woody Allen movie. I just love his movies. Even a lot of them I get kind of critically panned and all, but something always interesting about them. I don't know how he works. I'm not sure.
We just know he plays the clarinet once a week. That's
yeah.
Fred Willard is our special guest tonight here on KFGO. Fred Willard's magnificent movie trivia book. We're going to talk more about that in just a couple of minutes. By the way, I have to say congratulations, another Emmy nomination.
Yeah, isn't that great for this show, Modern Family, which is kind of everyone seems to like that show. And I was just a guest on it twice, and I got nominated as a guest, for one of the episodes. So that's going to be fun.
I think you were the grandfather of the kids, right?
Yeah, the father of Ty Burrell, and kind of a wacky part, and it was a lot of fun to do that. That show was the same thing as scripted, few takes scripted, and then they say just make up what you want to, and which is kind of uncomfortable, Frank. I would just as soon just do what they've written, particularly if it's good.
Uh-huh.
If you want to change a little bit, okay, but then suddenly they're asking you to rewrite the script. But I forget how much was improvised and how much was written in that.
I looked at your IMDb or whatever it is on the internet, and you do a lot of episodic type shows where, I mean, you're only in one or two of them, it seems, and then you're gone. Is that okay with you, or would you rather have like a full season of series to work on?
Well, yeah, I think a whole season is much more fun. You get into the groove, and every week, the actors, it's such a hit and miss with actors. Do you have a job? Do you not have a job? But even if you're on a series, you never can tell when you're coming some week and you're written out or they've recast it. I did a series about 2 years ago with Kelsey Grammer and Patricia Heaton called Back to You. And it happens all the time, but where they're rehearsing before they do what they call the first episode, the pilot. And you come in one day and there's a new guy playing the part of someone in the cast, and it's kind of frightening. It must be the feeling, you come in back in Nazi Germany and one of your friends has been taken away. Well, what happened there? And the guy who replaces him is good, but not that much better than the first guy. So, it's happened to almost every actor that you get canned from a series, or the next episode they've recast it. So even if you're a regular on a series, it's never that much job security. But I found that in this world, there's not much job security in everything. Am I right?
Well, yeah, that's true too. But what I guess when I take it back, what I mean about it, you mentioned Patricia Heaton. You were on Everybody Loves Raymond. You weren't in every episode.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
No, I would have liked to have been in every episode. Sure. Because that was a fun show to do, and. But when I go back, they'd welcome you back like you were, so good to see you. I'm so glad you're back. So it was a nice feeling. But I think I was doing something else at the same time, too. I think I was doing a Norm Macdonald series, so I was not available for all of them. So that was just as well. I was quite busy that year.
This is, once again, Fred Willard, our special guest here on KFGO. It seems like things are kind of turning around just a little bit because... And I don't mean to put you in that age group, but let's face it, you are really popular with the kids. We saw Betty White a couple of months ago, Saturday Night Live. The kids just absolutely ate her up. What is the deal where the younger generation is all of a sudden turning around and coming to the older actors, the class people?
I don't know what it is. It's just that maybe they're just submerged with the same people all the time, and suddenly they see something with someone else. And I was that way with when I was starting out or through my career. A lot of the old time comics, I was they're corny, they're old. Then a few years go by, and you suddenly see something they did, like Jackie Mason. Suddenly, someone invited me. They said, "You got to see Jackie Mason." I said, I remember him. He's kind of hackneyed. But I went down to see his show, and it was like discovering someone all over again. Because everything, it's cyclical in the business. And people have jobs, and then they disappear, and then for no reason. It's not that they're bad or good. It's just that, there's always someone new. It's like baseball, too. People can be on the All-Star team for 1 year, and 2 years later you find out they're released, and you say, hey, what's going on here?
We're going to be back here in just a couple of seconds with Fred Willard and more on his career, and also we're going to get to this trivia book here in just a couple of moments. You're listening to the Mighty 790. This is KFGO. And welcome back. More with Fred Willard here on KFGO, and we're talking about his career and also his new movie trivia book, Fred Willard's Magnificent Movie Trivia. If I don't ask, people are going to call me, but Fernwood Tonight with Martin Mull, one of the most hilarious things I think I've seen in years. That was kind of a spin-off of Mary Hartman, wasn't it?
It was, exactly. They wanted to have a summer show, and someone came up with the idea of what would a cable show be like if it was broadcast from this town in Ohio, Fernwood. So they came up with that idea, and I got to work with Martin Mull for the very first time, and it was really first time that had been done, a spoof of a talk show, which a lot of people, we try to do it so realistically that people thought it was a real talk show from this little town. And they've tried to do that since, and I've watched these shows, but you can tell right away they're being funny, and it's a spoof, which kind of takes some of the fun away from it.
And then you would reunite with him later on with Roseanne, too, right?
Yes. Martin and I, we were did the first gay marriage on TV. And that was a scene, the day that was shot, because Roseanne got just about anyone she wanted to be on her show, and they throw the bridal bouquet, and the lady who caught it was Milton Berle dressed as a woman. And the extras were all Judy Garland and Liza Minnelli impersonators. It was a very colorful day.
I have to go back. Where was your first public appearance? When did you first get on television?
Well, it was in Canada. I had a partner. We were at a comedy act. We were playing in a club in Canada, and they asked us to come on and do their show. And then they said, "Listen, you guys are leaving town. We'd like to tape a couple of segments with you." And so they did, and then they took us in the office and showed them to us, and we'd never seen ourselves on TV. And we were like a couple of idiots. We sat there and laughed and laughed. We thought we were so funny. And then one of our earliest shows, I think we did the Tonight Show, when it was Johnny Carson. That was one of the earliest things I did. And then one of the earliest movies I ever did was a thing called Teenage Mother, which I talked about on the David Letterman show a few years ago. And wouldn't you know, they found a clip from it, and I was pretty good. But it was a strange movie, and the selling point of it at the time, it was like R-rated because they showed actual footage of a woman giving birth, in a hospital to a baby, and that was the big drawing point.
Wow!
And I played a baseball coach at this high school, and it was the first movie thing I did.
Before we're going to get to the book next after this question, but I have to ask you, Buck Laughlin, Best of Show.
Best of Show, yeah.
You were the commentator.
The color commentator.
Tell me about the situation there, because I understand when you were sitting there, there weren't no dogs. What were you looking at?
There was nothing. They brought me and Jim Pittick, who played the talk show, host. They brought us in the day before, and they showed us footage. They said, "This is what you'll be seeing tomorrow. You won't be seeing anything, but this is what you'll be seeing." So they showed us all the stuff. And the next day we went in, and they had about 50 extras, and they moved them around. And also, when you see the crowd scenes there, Christopher Guest pointed out, he says, if you'll notice, 1 out of every 3 people is actually a cardboard cutout. And you don't notice that unless you look for it. And he said, I said, well, it must cost for those cutouts. He said, yeah, but you don't have to serve them lunch. So I think there had actual people behind us, and Christopher would roll the camera and say, now you're seeing this, now you're seeing that. And our first movie with him had been Waiting for Guffman, and so much of everyone's stuff had been edited out because he filmed like 30 hours and cut it down to 85 minutes. I said, so much of this stuff will end up on the cutting room floor. I said, I'm going to say everything that comes to mind. And I did, and luckily he kept... well, probably 2/3 of it, which was plenty. Because in watching the movie, it got to the point near the end, I was saying, I hope I don't come on anymore because I've had just about enough of me. Which is unusual for an actor.
By the way, is there another one coming, do you think? Has Christopher Guest got another one?
I've heard that they might be planning a TV series, which would be great.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And I think what's happened, so many TV shows and movies have taken on this documentary. I mean, every place I go, someone comes up and hands me a DVD and says, "Oh, we've done a Christopher Guest, kind of a mockumentary. Would you take it home and watch it?" But I take it home and watch it, and the trouble with a lot of them, they have funny toupees and funny outfits, and you say, "Oh, they're trying to be very funny." I think Christopher Guest's movies, you can watch and think it's a real documentary, and not really get that it's. That we're trying to be funny, which to me is my favorite kind of humor.
You can look at it and say, "Hey, what happened?"
That's exactly right. I say all the time, and people turn around and see it and say, "Hey, hold it down, Fred."
Fred Willard's magnificent movie trivia.
Let me ask you one question.
Sure.
Being from Fargo, I remember the movie Fargo came out.
Right.
What was your take on that? Did you like it or not? Because for 2 years, every voiceover guy in Los Angeles was doing a Fargo accent. Except me, I think. But you'd go in to read for something and say, now, can you do a Fargo accent? And I would try, but I didn't really get into it.
I'll tell you what, there are portions of like northwestern Minnesota where they're so Scandinavian. I went up deer hunting there it was a number of years ago, and I came back with a Scandinavian accent, just like you would hear in Fargo.
Yeah, it's like going to Canada. You come back with a Canadian accent. Yeah. It's easy to fall into it.
By the way, not every house has a wood chipper, okay? Tell us about this book. It's not only movie trivia, but it's a game all in one, right?
Well, it's just a book. You don't need cards or a board or anything. You get multiple question with multiple answers, and then when you turn the page to see the answer, most of the times you'll not only get the answer but a little trivia about the movie, which is very interesting to me. I'm trying to think what Clint Eastwood. He's famous for saying, "Go ahead, make my day." Mm-hmm. What was that from? Well, everyone will say, "Oh, Dirty Harry." It's not. It was from Sudden Impact. And then there was another, the movie Giant. James Dean, he was killed shortly after the photography was finished, but they had looping. He had to do voices, so they had to call in his friend Nick Adams to do his voice on a lot of the scenes. So now what I want, it makes me interested to go and watch that movie and see if I can say, hey, that's not James Dean talking.
All right, here you go. Godfather, 1972. Where did the hitman turn Sonny into Swiss cheese?
Well, that was
I'll give you the selections. Church, restaurant, barber's chair, toll booth.
Oh boy, I think it's the toll booth.
Toll booth, absolutely right. You know your trivia.
Yeah. But there was where was the scene in a restaurant? That was very graphic.
Oh, that's when Michael popped the one guy and then the police chief.
Yeah,
right.
and the gun was hidden in the bathroom, which was taken from a true story. Yeah, that was a bloody scene. And
well, Fred, can they pick this book up anywhere? I would imagine, right?
I think they can. Yeah, I think they're just about going on sale. I was a part of a podcast show last night, and afterwards a book company had my books in the lobby, and it was surprising. A lot of people lined up to buy it, and it's not very expensive. I think a lot of them just wanted to say hello to me, but it was a lot of them picked up the book. So I think it's a good gift. It's a good something for a family to sit around. You don't have to pull out a board and cards, and you can cheat. You can read it through and then play it with your friends, and you'll know all the answers. Over
900 questions, by the way.
Wow!
And so it's really cool. And by the way, Buzz Time, who puts the book out, gave us some prizes. So in a few minutes here, folks, you stick around. We're going to give you a chance to win some prizes. I'll ask you a couple of questions out of the book. Now,
they're good people because they had researchers come up with all this stuff, and it's really full. I think they have another one out about TV trivia. I think Dick Van Patten put that together. So I read that. That's very interesting. And it's interesting. As I put in the acknowledgement, I said it's interesting that people love movies so much that just the trivia about them has become a source of entertainment.
Now, before I let you go,
okay,
I've got so many people, and I'm serious, talking about Waiting for Guffman. Did you ever talk to Maria Muldaur after that version of Midnight at the Oasis?
Yes, I did.
Did you really?
I was down in Mexico at some place for a film festival, and she was a performer there, and she was thrilled, and she just loved it. And she did 2 shows that night outdoors, so we sat through her first act. She never sang it in the first act, so we had to sit through till midnight before she did Midnight at the Oasis. And the reason that Chris Guest put that in the movie is he went to high school with the guy who wrote the song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's trivia which is not in the book. I guess it may be in the book. I don't think so. But it's and I did meet Maria Muldaur. She's a little more jazz. She's kind of jazz-oriented, very, very talented.
I tell you what we're going to do here as we say goodbye. We're going to play Midnight at the Oasis, the Waiting for Guffman version, so we can let the folks know what that's all about.
Come about? That was we went in to do that audition in there, and it was like a real audition. We walked in, and the cameras were on, and it had been my idea to do what that is a spoof of an old Taster's Choice TV commercial, which was kind of they had like 4 episodes, which I thought that most people would think was good acting, good drama. And Chris wanted to do that song, so we combined it both in that horrific thing you saw in the movie. We were the most annoying couple you'd ever see, me and Catherine O'Hara.
And if I remember right, it's the same. You have the same like jogging suits on, right?
Matching jogging suits, of course, with a towel around our neck.
Fred, I don't know what to say except this has just kind of made my month, my year so far.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
And if you ever come to Fargo, or if you've ever got anything you want to talk about here in Fargo again, movie, TV, whatever. I want to hear from you, okay?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Fred Willard's magnificent movie trivia book at stands everywhere. Check the internet as well. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Here comes Midnight at the Oasis, Catherine O'Hara and Fred Willard. Thank you so